All right, a very good evening to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. Glad to have you here with us for the KUTV Primetime News. We have so much lined up for you tonight, including the finance bill debate. That is the third reading that is still continuing in Parliament this very moment. We'll be bringing you that story and later on an interview on the same. But first, let's take a look at our top stories tonight. MPs deliberate on sections of the Finance Bill 2023 in the third and last stage of the bill before presidential assent. Interior CS Kithure Kindiki vows to resolve conflict between national police commissions. Africa to play a larger role in adoption of renewable energy to curb climate change. And Safaricom awards Faith Kipyegon with 2 million Kenya shillings in honor of doubled world record in the Florence Diamond League. All right, welcome to the broadcast. Even Sodhiambo is our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is ODIDA. Let's get started. Now, the third reading of the Finance Bill 2023 has commenced this evening, and as we speak, members of Parliament are deliberating on the amendments proposed on the bill. Voting is also taking place for every amendment. This is the very last stage of the bill process in Parliament, after which it will be presented to the President for assent. Let's listen in to what's going on in Parliament.
Of agencies, because we have got very many agencies across the country that are mandated to collect rent and are not necessarily members of a particular professional body as proposed. However, this could be done through an amendment to the Parent Act that then, for example, what the roles that are given, for example, to ISPAC or the Law Society of Kenya, that amendment I think would fit more there than amending the finance bill to require that these landlords actually get to appoint professionals. Let them continue using the agents that they use for the collection of their rent. It is within their right to do so. With that, I thank you, Chair.
Honorable Ounda, are you satisfied with the explanation from the Chair? If you are, then you can withdraw your amendment.
Obviously not, Chair. And I want to take the Chair to the specific provision in the original bill. And it reads, a person who receives rental income on behalf of the owner of the premises shall deduct taxes thereof, provided that only a person appointed by the Commission in writing. Here we are not talking about the landlord. We are talking about an agent appointed by the Commissioner. He's not asking for so much that whoever is appointed must be legally certified to do the job he is appointed to do. Honorable Speaker, the Estate Agent Act Cap 533 is explicitly clear, and the courts have regularly held that any person who earns a fuel purports to work.
All right, the Finance Bill 2023 continues to divide the thoughts of lawmakers in the National Assembly. Contention is looming between the parties against the bill and those who hold to it. The bill is currently in the tables of the Parliament, where amendments to independent clauses of the bill are being determined.
Will as many as of that opinion say aye?
It has been a hard tussle in attempts to topple the finance bill by the opposition brigade as their counterparts in Kenya Kwanza boost numbers in the National Assembly. It is the homestretch session of determining the controversial bill, seeking to bring to an end the divided thoughts in the House.
But let us understand that we are dealing with Parliament, which is an institution that as a tradition that everyone is looking up to, Madam Speaker, Madam Chair. At every close, once it is proposed, it is important that you give members who want to speak chance to speak. 1, 2, or 3. That has been a tradition in this House. We can't be turned into a voting machine.
Azimio MPs are after 8 clauses which they seek to influence in the ongoing amendments. Those from Kenya Kwanza are pushing for review of 2 independent clauses of the bill as the committee proposes 2 amendments.
Honorable Chair, Clause 10, as per what is on the bill, was proposing that taxes that are collected by agents, especially excise duty and VAT, that seems to be what this particular clause was targeting, to be remitted to Kenya Revenue Authority within 24 hours. After listening to members of the public during our public participation, we proposed to amend that from 24 hours to within 5 working days.
The smooth procession of the session was either disrupted by hitches in an electronic voting system, which ultimately failed. Among clauses in which voting has been concluded is the digital monetization clause, where the government has carried the day after an 87-29 vote cast to bring down Azimio's side.
I don't think it is time we tax our young people who are involved in digital content creation, because that is a sector which is creating jobs for them. I thought this is a time to support them so that as we move to the future, we create a critical mass which can then be taxed. With those comments, Honorable Speaker, I urge the Honorable House to support me so that we don't at all tax the young people who are doing digital creation, Honorable Speaker.
One of the contentious issues in the bill is the housing levy, which was set at 3% and later reviewed to 1.5%, but did not step down public outcry. Last week, the opposition MPs were overrun by their counterparts in Kenya Kwanza when the bill sailed through the second reading after a majority of the votes were cast in favor of the bill.
Aburi Donye Doris.
Yes.
Ruth Adhiambo Odinga. Oron Joshua Odongo. Ahmed Shakil Ahmed. Buyu Rosa Akinyi.
The bill seeks to raise additional revenue in tax of 130 billion to finance the government's 3.6 trillion budget for financial year 2023-2024. Joseph Oyomo, KUTV.
Right away from that, Cabinet Secretary for Health Dr. Susan Nakumicha has today appeared before the Parliamentary Health Committee, which was chaired by Dr. Robert Pukose. This comes after Nakumicha fired 7 branch managers in facilities across counties that were linked to the expose on medical frauds through NHIF in hospitals. Nakumicha says that all these efforts are geared towards cleaning up the health industry.
Cabinet Secretary for Health Dr. Susan Nakumicha has been questioned in a Robert Pukose-chaired committee over the decision she made to fire branch managers linked to the fraud, to which she responded that she contacted the chief executive officers of Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Council and NHIF, who are responsible for firing staff, and it was not an individual decision. Private medical practitioners from Embu under the Mbere Embu Private Health Practitioners Association have also denounced the fraud cases reported on a section of private facilities. MEMFA Chair Robert Njagi noted that since the fraud cases are mostly linked with private hospitals, it has affected them because patients will generalize all private hospitals and not trust the services they deliver.
We as healthcare providers in this region wish to exonerate ourselves from this misdeed and condemn it in the strongest terms possible. These are criminal and evil acts, and the law should take its own course accordingly. We do honest business. However, we warn our members against being tempted to engage in church malpractice, and if it happens, we shall not hesitate to expose them.
The Kenya Medical Association has also released a statement today on the medical frauds after the expose, which unearthed medical practitioners who collaborate with NHIF staff to rob patients. The association has condemned any form of medical fraud, and it has stated that it will create awareness on the consequences of medical fraud. Bodies within the health ministry have shown unity in cleaning up the healthcare industry to avoid tarnishing its reputation further. Ivy Bina, KUTV.
Interior and National Administration Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has earlier today on Tuesday appeared before the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security to respond to questions on institutional confrontation, roles and functions of the Inspector General of the National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission. Kindiki has revealed that he is intervening to resolve a fierce dispute pitting the National Police Service against the National Police Service Commission.
Interior Cabinet Secretary Professor Kithure Kindiki has today appeared before the National Assembly's Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the institutional confrontation, roles and functions of the Inspector General of the National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission. Kindiki called for the regularization of recruitment, emphasizing that the exchange of words between the two institutions was a violation of the Constitution, particularly the articles pertaining to leadership and integrity.
That conduct by those two institutions and their top officials amounts to a violation of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on integrity and leadership.
Kindiki says that order, sanity and responsibility in the national security agencies is paramount in ensuring a safe and secure nation. The CS termed and clear information of the role of the two institutions as the cause of the problems between the two.
The genesis is in the very disparate or different interpretations of mandates and role.
CS Kindiki revealed that he intervened to try and resolve the fierce dispute pitting the National Police Service against the National Police Service Commission.
And had extensive discussions and interactions with them. And in these discussions, Chair, I can report to this committee that I made it very clear that what the two institutions and their leadership were engaged in is a violation of the Constitution.
Kindiki has, however, expressed the government's determination to professionalize and depoliticize the National Police Service, supply police officers with modern equipment and protective gear to enable them to concentrate on combating national security threats.
The measures we are taking are the upgrading of our equipment in the counter-terrorism effort. The government has approved off budget a program of 20 billion, which when we submitted to the National Security Council last week, it was even enhanced to 37 billion of the budget.
Professor Kindiki apologized on behalf of the Inspector General of the National Police Service and the National Police Service Commission for what he terms as embarrassing the ministry in front of the National Assembly's Chair Gabriel Tongoyo. Salma Swaleh, KUTV.
Now, as the tabled finance bill continues to stir debate, the Azimio coalition has now faulted the government as they say that in recent days, the administration has been engaging in what they call a suspicious spree of borrowing. According to a press release dated 20th of June, the Azimio coalition claims that the Kenya Kwanza coalition borrowed 213.4 billion Kenya shillings from local financial institutions. The opposition claims the money was borrowed at a high rate of 15.84%. The opposition is now demanding that the Kenya Kwanza government should clarify concerns, including but not limited to what the funds are intended for and why such massive borrowing was done just a week to the end of this financial year. Heavy police presence was witnessed at the Nakuru law courts as ex-Mungiki leader Maina Njenga appeared in court today morning. Maina, alongside other 11 suspects, are accused of 7 offences related to the illegal Mungiki group. Through his lawyers, Mr. Njenga had called upon the court to summon Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua for prosecuting his case in public. While giving the directive, Principal Magistrate Kip Kurui Kibelion said that the court can only give specific order when satisfied that there is a violation, and in this case, there was no material placed before him to demonstrate the asserted contempt by the second in command. Right, moving on, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, during a forum to mark the World Refugee Day, has urged the international community and donor groups providing relief food in the country to support Kenyan local farmers. The Prime CS expressed his concerns as he says Kenyan farmers have been neglected and are having a hard time selling their produce, while efforts are in place to feed and support refugees. According to Mudavadi, the government has been making pleas asking donors to consider purchasing from local farmers to feed these communities. Currently, Kenya is the 13th largest refugee hosting nation in the world and 5th in Africa. Still in the same breath, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has called upon Kenyans to embrace educational research and technology in order to provide solutions to challenges affecting the nation. Speaking at the American Institute of Steel Construction Conference at the University of Nairobi, Mudavadi has urged the public to embrace technology and utilize the immense digital opportunities to build into the resources they want.
During the African Institute of Steel Construction Conference held at the University of Nairobi to ambitiously provide the much-needed link for research orientation and environmental conservation, the Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi called upon Kenyans to embrace educational research and technology as a way of preserving the common life. Mudavadi has urged the public to embrace the power of technology and innovation in their plans to monitor governance, citizen engagement, and efficient management with an aim of achieving transparency, accountability, and effective decision-making.
The commons we want must also embrace the power of technology and innovation. Digital advancements offer immense opportunities for participatory governance, citizen engagement, and the efficient management of resources. By harnessing the potential of digital platforms, we can enhance transparency, accountability, and effective decision-making by ensuring that the voices of all stakeholders are heard and respected.
Mudavadi has also pointed out the obligations to constitutionally maintain conflict resolution mechanism and achieve proper conservation of natural resources and biodiversity by ensuring social justice in the access of the resources. Speaking at the conference, he revealed government efforts towards natural resource management and ensuring equitable access of resources to the local publics.
The commons we pursue are also deeply intertwined with social justice and inclusivity. We are determined that everyone in society has equal access to resources, opportunities, and decision-making processes. Affirmative action thus runs through the Kenyan governance systems, be it empowering marginalized communities, promoting gender equality, and upholding the rights of indigenous people.
Swiss Valentine, who graced the occasion, affirmed the results of Kenyan partnership in research development, saying that it has brought excellent resolution to land conflict. In his statement, he pointed out plans to participate in more research for intellectual collaborations and team building.
Their successful and highly impactful research programs have helped to substantially reduce conflicts over the use of lands, and you have heard the different examples. They have created viable, inspiring, and scalable pathways towards sustainable and just development.
The urge to engage students in research is considered an excellent move beyond mere research, practice and group work to a greater level of engagement through exploration, experimentation, and collaboration. Zena Odhiambo, KUTV.
All right, with our story by Zena Odhiambo, we are taking our very first short break. Of course, we are coming back with an interview on the finance bill debate and the conversation and the amendments that are being voted for in Parliament. Rather, stay with us.
We are all seeing the impacts of climate change. In Kenya, for example, the frequency of the floods is becoming more and worse. The amount of people and livestock we're losing.
The level we need to go is the level where the normal mwananchi and also the government stakeholders can uptake the solutions.
Those small acts multiplied by millions of us will help make a difference in the world at the end of the day.
It's just a slight behavior change that we need, and you'll find that it serves us a bit more than you put in. And that's the goal. We want to live a better world than we found. Because at the rate we are going, it's dire.
We will secure the planet for future generations.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
All right, welcome back to KUTV Primetime News. Of course, you are watching Primetime News, and it's time for a discussion of the night. And Wycliffe Bichanga, who is a certified public accountant, that is at ISPAC, is gracing our studio once again. And with the third reading of the finance bill still in Parliament tonight, as we promised, we are here to follow up on the amendments that have been made today with regards to the recommendations that ISPAC presented to Parliament. Welcome back to KUTV Weekly.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you here. So with all that is happening now, I'm sure you have maybe listened to maybe what's going on in Parliament at the moment. They are voting so far. Do you think you're content?
What we know is that, yes, the third reading, the MPs have got to vote for specific clauses, because then we know after this, the bill will now go to the president for assent, and then it becomes a finance act.
Right.
So what I've seen so far is that most proposals, most amendments that have been presented by the Finance Committee, they are getting voted in. So we know that that process is still ongoing, but I think we can be confident that most of those amendments that were proposed by the Finance Committee will finally get the nod if what has happened so far this afternoon is anything to go by.
Now, the only reason why a finance bill exists is because the government needs to finance both recurrent and development expenditure, right? Yes. And we also don't want to sink into debt. How can we make it, how would I put it? Why should Kenyans accept this basic knowledge that they are in safe hands?
I agree with you that government has got to raise money to meet the expenditure, and it falls in both development and recurrent expenditure. And last week we saw the reading by the CS, 3.67 trillion budget. Yeah. So obviously it needs money to be financed. But I think what Kenyans are asking, why is it not possible to reduce expenditure? Because we've seen our budget grow year in, year out. We agree things are going up. But if we are constantly saying that we do not have enough money, why don't we consider reducing expenditure? It was expected that this being a hustler government, so to speak, there was expectation that we were going to do things a little bit hustler, so as we do not get into a further hole. Because we now have high expectations. We now expect to collect about 2.6 trillion in taxes, which we ask ourselves whether it is really possible. We doubt whether it is going to be possible, even with the new raft of measures that are going to happen. But again, when you have a deficit of about 700 billion, you will expect that we are going to cut on that deficit by probably reducing expenditure. And when you look at the tone, what has happened, we have really not felt that this government is determined to reduce expenditure in any way. You saw what was going on social media yesterday when we had about a fleet of 100 guzzlers in the presidential entourage. That is when you realize that really there's no motivation to reduce expenditure. But yeah, it is what it is, and I think we still have to fund the budget.
But would you say that with now the target to raise at least 2.6 trillion to meet these these financial year's target, are we living beyond our means now as the government and Kenyans?
We are, but unfortunately, this is what we've done for a long time now. I can't have had a balanced budget. We've always had a deficit budget. We've always lived beyond our means. We hope one day we'll be able to generate enough revenue, but I think it's high time for us to start thinking about reducing expenditure so that we're able to match the expenditure versus the revenue, rather than hoping every year that we're going to get there. We're going to get there because we're now in a very awkward situation. Government is competing with citizens in borrowing in the local market. It's not, we are in that situation where you can easily walk to a bank and the bank denies giving you a loan to be able to start a business because it is getting better rates from the government and it is risk-free lending to the government. And all this is happening because there is that appetite to borrow by the government. So when you look at it at the end of the day, the implications are dire economy-wise.
All right, now the housing levy is still taking center stage even in Parliament. It is the 76th clause, depending on where somebody went to English class. But Azimio has asked this question, and I want to pose this to you again, that the housing fund deductions at the rate of 1.5% is better off being dealt with, being put under the table. So what do you make of that? Do you support that the finance bill should be wrapped off, or should we carry on with it?
The issue with the housing levy, I think there was that bit of clause 11, which the chair of the finance committee proposed to amend to allow the contribution by the employer to be tax allowable. I think that amendment got a nod. And now what is in clause 76, I think, is now whether we're really going to have this levy and at what rate. What my personal view, and we spoke about this last time, is that housing levy, we do not yet have a mechanism of running it. If you look at it, what are the regulations running it? How is it going to run? We still do not know. In fact, we do not even know where it is anchored at the end of the day. Who is responsible? My view is that because it's possible that the originators of this idea had a very brilliant idea, but again, we've not really understood it. It has not come out very clearly. My view, and if I had the ability to mobilize the members of parliament, is that the whole levy thing is gotten out of the bill, probably reintroduce it later once you've got a framework of running this levy. Because you do not want a levy that does not have a framework of running it. Where we sit, it doesn't make sense. You remember we had a situation where even the PS was not really able to explain at what point as a contributor am I going to get a house. There's even another question that if I'm a wife and my husband, so husband and wife are contributing to the levy, so are we going to get two houses at the end of the day, or are we going to get one? There's even a question of if I already have a house, at what point will I get this house? I mean, for what value? So all these are questions that Kenyans are asking, and my hope was that the housing levy story was actually going to get out of the bill until that point where we're able to answer all these questions, and then it can always be introduced. And again, another question you were asking, why is the hurry? Why is everyone in a hurry to have this in? We hope someday we'll get these answers.
All right, now we are in the third reading of this finance bill. The first reading, the second reading has passed. Parliamentarians, that there were 176 members of parliament that passed that bill in the second reading, and 81 were against it. Now, should this housing fund pass the third reading, which chances are high. What should Kenyans expect? How should they prepare themselves for what is ahead of them?
Unfortunately, Kenyans will not have another chance to have a review of this, but I think what Kenyans will have to do is be vigilant. It is important to know that this is still your money. It will be very good for Kenyans to always open their eyes and really demand to know what is happening with that levy, to even know, get the government to make sense out of this whole scenario. So it will be, it's not, all is not lost. It is still as Kenyans, we have that right to be vigilant and a demand for answers on areas that are really grey.
Do you think it's possible at this time, now that it being reduced to 1.5%, them getting back their money after 7 years, as had been promised to the 3% housing levy, do you think it's possible for them now to get clarity at this point, now that they will not get back their contributions anymore? That 1.5% is gone.
The funny part is, because I read the report by the Finance and Economic Planning Committee, their comment on this issue was that they have now revised the rate from 3% to 1.5%. They did not comment about the other issues that accompanied this levy, about the 7 years, about getting your money back. That they did not cover. But I still hope, because if it is silent, then it means the initial provisions in the bill have been retained, and what they are seeking to amend is the rate from 3% to 1.5%. Now, and if you remember the last time we were here, we are trying to calculate, we are trying to see 3% subject to a maximum of 5,000, how much money does this get to at the end of year 7? We realized that it's a partly, I think 60,000 for 10 years. We worked with the 10 years. It was 600,000. Now we've reduced the rate further, so that figure then goes down. Now, as to whether that money makes sense to build a house, as to whether that money makes sense to be refunded, and again, the bill does not even talk about interest. So it is, as I said earlier, it is a very, very gray area. It's one of those laws that are passed, and you wonder, how is it going to be implemented? I actually see a challenge in implementation.
All right, now, will taxing Kenyans help with the current economic situation in the country? The country is battling with tough economic times. Will this really bring down the cost of living, now taxing Kenyans?
Taxing Kenyans, I think, and Kenyans do not have a problem with being taxed if they're being taxed fairly, because they all understand that we've got to build this country.
Yes.
I think the issue is fairness and also putting into good use the money that is collected. And I tend to believe that in Kenya, our biggest problem has always been an expenditure problem. That the money we get in, who takes care of it? The same way that we have a Kenya Revenue Authority, which is very keen on collection, to the extent that some businesses feel pressed too much, we should also have someone looking at the expenditure bit. For example, when you go into the budget given by various MDAs, various ministries and departments, has anyone really interrogated that, do we really need X amount that is contained in this budget? I still believe it's about time we start having the expenditure conversation in this country.
Now, I would love to know where you stand with this. The government is now 9 months in, and I understand that not many projects have been done or completed in 9 months' time. But now with the budget reading, and now the financial year 2023-2024 is about to start, should we expect this to be systems go for government? Like, is this going to change the way the country is at the moment?
Unfortunately, government systems do not work like that. You cannot say that we now have a new budget. Yes, we understand this is the first budget for this regime.
Yeah.
And they may say that for the 9 months they've been in power, they've been living on other people's budget, a budget that was drawn by the previous regime. But there are those things that they have to deal with that are coming from the past. We know that it is a big problem with pending bills. Pending bills have not been paid. We have a lot of pending bills, and now unfortunately, those are those things that tie the economy. Because if you've not paid, we know that government is the biggest spender in Kenya. So if government is not paying its suppliers, and I'm told this is over a tune of I think a trillion. So over $1 trillion is tied up in pending bills. Those suppliers owe other people. So those suppliers need to pay other people. What that means is that we now have a cash shortage in the country, which becomes very difficult for us to get out of. If the pending bills were to be paid, there's a way that opens up the economy, because now we have got more people having money to spend, and that trickle down cannot be underrated. So yes, we have a new budget. Government can now spend this, hoping they're able to collect, because remember, the money that is the revenue budgeted for is projected. So we hope that they're able to collect and spend. But my hope is that a lot of which is going to resolve the issue of pending bills, which is a real problem in this country.
In the budget that was read last week, what do you think should have been given priority, or did your recommendations get priority in that budget that was read last week as ISBAG?
My expectation, again, I will repeat, was that we are going to have a budget that was lower. I think last year we did 3.3 trillion.
Yeah, 3.2.
My expectation was that we were going to maybe match that 3.2 and not go up. But we got about 0.4. That's 4 billion more, which then tells you that we're still living in a bigger hole. So my expectation, all the allocations that happened, my expectation was that they are going to be lower than they were, because we're trying. I mean, how do you get out of a hole? Today, Anne, if I came to your house and you told me that you're having trouble paying school fees, we'll have to think of, do we change the school, do we change what we eat in the house and stuff like that. But we didn't see that. There was an increase in the budget, and therefore I will not say that my expectations were met.
Thank you so much, Wycliffe, for your contributions on this conversation. I understand that it doesn't end here, and that reading is still in Parliament. We're looking forward to having you again to get more insights from you and your team.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Now, let's continue with our broadcast at this point. The 25th Africa Energy Forum has been officially opened by President William Ruto in the company of Energy and Petroleum Cabinet Secretary Davis Chirchir, who in his statement highlighted that the forum will serve as a platform for forging partnerships, identifying opportunities, and propelling the industry forward. The event will run from 20th to 23rd of June.
The Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, in collaboration with EnergyNet, are the organizers of the 25th Africa Energy Forum, held at KICC, with this year theme being Africa for Africa, Building Energy for the Just Transition.
Over the next 3 days, we'll seriously engage and look at several topics, including insights from ministers and heads of utilities on energy mining from the continent. And like Simon said, we have over 23, 24 ministers in the House today from the continent. We'll also look at increasing pace and scale, how to increase the pace and scale of Africa renewable energy projects, the growing role of Africa gas within today's geopolitical context.
President William Ruto, who graced the event, said the transition will accelerate the preservation of the environment, noting that access to clean cooking is a policy priority under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, adding that despite Africa being the smallest contributor to climate change, it bears the burden of the adverse impact.
Africa will remain an indispensable player in global transition to climate action, new industrialization, and green energy for a while, and for this reason will highly reward investors who are making their moves now or very shortly. The opportunities, I want to confirm, are vast.
The event has brought together key stakeholders, thought leaders, and decision makers from the global energy sector, and according to the head of state, the forum aims to enhance the understanding of Africa's energy requirements while stressing the vital role of international investors in meeting these needs.
We should be discussing a financial ecosystem, a new international financial mechanism that is going to have no lesser or greater partners. Although it is the reality, it should not be a North versus South conversation, or rich versus poor, or the emitters versus the non-emitters. We need to find a win-win conversation that will make the South work with the North.
Energy and Petroleum CS Davis Chirchir, on his part, noted that the forum will serve as a platform for foreign partnership, identifying opportunities and propelling the energy industry forward.
To enhance connectivity and efficiency in Africa's energy sector, we have to expand our transmission and distribution infrastructure, build cross-border infrastructure, regional power grids, and interconnections to facilitate energy trade and foster integration and economic growth.
This being the 25th Africa Energy Forum, Kenya is looking forward to partnering with other governments and business leaders in a bid to improve the energy sector in Kenya and Africa. Edward Nyamu, KUTV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Nyamu, for that report. Now, the Presidential Task Force in charge of the review of the legal and regulatory framework that is governing religious organizations is conducting forums in various counties, with its current focus being Western region. The religious leaders are advocating for the government to grant more power to umbrella religious bodies for the purpose of self-regulation.
The Shakahola massacre shed light on the necessity of regulating religious organizations in the country. To meet this need, the Presidential Task Force has been organizing forums in various counties, with its current focus being on the Western region. During a consultative meeting in Kakamega County, Bishop Mark Kariuki, the Vice Chair of the task force, has said that the government is dedicated to ensure that religious organizations effectively fulfill their societal role. However, he strongly urged the authorities to cease harassing the churches.
We have been sitting here since morning listening to them, and we trust that eventually we'll come up with a solution that will take care of radicalism and extremism and the cults. All those things will be dealt with. So I can say to Kenyans, there is hope. As we move on, there is hope. All of us are paining because of what has happened in Shakahola. And with that anger, there is a temptation of thinking it is the church. So harassment is transferred back to the church. It is not right. We would like to ask the authorities, or those who are harassing churches, please do not harass churches.
Church leaders in Kakamega County stress the importance of religious umbrella bodies functioning independently, free from influence by the national government. They have also advocated for vigilant monitoring of the legislation process for new churches.
Kanisa ipewe iondolewe katika Register of Societies, ipewe act yao na mahali penye wanaweza kujisajili wenyewe ili waweze kujitunza. Tuwe na commission na tuwe pia tena mambo ya chaplains. Chaplains ianze kwa national level, ikuje paka kwa ward level. MCA chini yake awe na chaplains ambao atakuwa na tuangalie mambo ya dini katika hiyo environment. Hata kama ni sub county, hata kama ni county, tuwe na chaplains.
Mambo ya registration irudi kwa serikali ya kaunti. Serikali ya kaunti ndio iko karibu na makanisa. Serikali ya kaunti imulike hizi kanisa.
The presidential team has been conducting forums since 13th of June in Kilifi County, the residence of Pastor Mackenzie's Good News International Church. They have subsequently proceeded to Lamu, Tana River, Kwale, Kakamega, Homa Bay, and other counties, with the final forum scheduled for August 8th at Nairobi's KICC. The task force will compile a report that will serve as a guiding document for the operation of religious institutions in Kenya. Later, it will be presented to President William Ruto. Lynette Maina, KUTV. We are taking a very short break at this point. When we come back, we are coming back with sports. Stay with us.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
All right, welcome back. Now in sports news, Safaricom has awarded Faith Kipyegon a cash check worth 2 million Kenya shillings for exemplary achievement after breaking 2 world records in the Diamond League competitions. The telecommunications company further displayed Faith Kipyegon's image on the KICC building as part of a recognition and celebration.
Faith Kipyegon has received a 2 million cash reward and an image display honor at the KICC from Safaricom Company after she put on an exemplary performance in the recent completed Diamond Leagues.
She's looking a little bit tired now, but she's left the lights behind.
Faith broke the 1,500 meters record in the Florence Diamond League, and she went on to break the 5,000 meters world record in Paris Diamond League a week later.
Faith Kipyegon! She is 100% the best ever.
And now I'm head up towards Budapest World Championship in Hungary. That's my biggest goal of the year. And going forward, I still have Diamond Leagues going on. And next year I'm doing Monaco. Next month, I'm doing Monaco. And hopefully, I hope for the best and see what will be possible in Monaco.
Safaricom CEO Peter Ndegwa lauded the athlete for her stellar performance and for flying Kenyan flag high on the global map.
Faith is a great example and inspiration for what the youth could be and what especially women can be able to achieve.
Over the last few weeks, Faith has shown that she is the epitome of what a Kenyan is.
The two-time Olympic champion clocked 3 minutes and 49 seconds and 14 minutes and 5 seconds in the 1,500 meters and 5,000 meters at Florence Diamond League and Paris Diamond League, respectively, to become the new world record holder in the respective races.
She smashed it!
Faith Kipyegon has won 7 individual gold medals and 2 Olympic titles. Her goals are clear for 2023 as she wants to become the most decorated 1,500 meters female star, and that means winning a record 3rd world title this summer in Budapest World Athletics Champions. Hassan Yusuf, KUTV.
I guess we can all say that success is indeed very sweet. Now, the Football Kenya Federation Premier League defending champions Tusker is a team on a mission. The Robert Matano-led charge is targeting the league and FKF Cup as 2022-2023 season comes to a close. The Brewers trail league leaders Gor Mahia with 2 points and will take on Posta Rangers tomorrow at their Raraka backyard.
We have been working about mental strength and also to adjust according to the situation. We have been we are out of the league for around 2 weeks. It has been difficult because we are used to play every week. Also to maintain players to get that much fitness, it was hard, but we have done some friendly match and we have been consistent training ready to play the remaining matches.
All right, and finally, athletes from 6 African countries are set to participate in the Athletics Kenya AK National Championship that are set to begin on Thursday at Nyayo National Stadium. The Kenya National Championship is one of the events that are sanctioned by World Athletics and may offer a chance for athletes to qualify for World Athletics Championship that is scheduled for August 19th to 27th in Budapest and Hungary. AK Chief Administrative Officer Susan Kamau has revealed that South Africa, Uganda, South Sudan, Eswatini, Seychelles and Tanzania will field athletes on various categories in the 3-day championship. All right, 1 minute to the top of the hour. We have come to the end of our bulletin tonight. Many thanks indeed for keeping us company. Be sure to join me again next week, inshallah. My name is Ann Odida. I'm in the company of Evans Odhiambo, who is a sign language interpreter tonight. Have a good night.